As our previous videos show, video games can be an interesting look into a variety of topics, even in unexpected ways. Today's video is no different, as we consider video games within the broader scope of the NCAA. Most fans of the NCAA football video game series despise Ed O Bannon. O Bannon was a power forward on the 1995 UCLA Bruins National Championship basketball team. He was the NCAA Final Four Most Outstanding Player, a third-team All-American, three-time first-team All-Pac-10, a member of the UCLA Athletics Hall of Fame, and had his number 31 jersey retired by UCLA. So why do gamers hate him? Well, because in 2009, O Bannon filed a lawsuit against the NCAA and the Collegiate Licensing Company, alleging violations of the Sherman Antitrust Act and of actions that deprived him of his right of publicity. O Bannon filed suit because he saw his likeness from the '95 championship in a video game. He was never paid for his appearance in the game. In college sports video games, player names aren't included, but the representations of the players are directly built on the real person. While O Bannon wasn't in the game by name, a left-handed player with his same height, weight, hairstyle, skin tone, number, and team was. O Bannon wanted payment for his likeness, and the O Bannon vs. NCAA case had serious repercussions for NCAA football games and other college sports games as well. Backlash from sports fans and gamers made O Bannon a pariah. People blame him for taking away their game, but they need to consider that legally, O Bannon was correct and justified in the case, even though most people don't care. Opponents of O Bannon don't just come from the typical gaming community. In 2016, Kirk Herbstreit was asked if they were bringing back the NCAA football game. Herbstreit responded bluntly, "They better. I can't believe Ed O Bannon took that game from us." He went on to publicly defend the NCAA's decision to not compensate student athletes for their appearance in games. According to Herbstreit, a former college star himself, kids don't care about being paid to be in the game, they just want to be in the game. That might be true. I would have loved to be portrayed in a video game back when I was in college, but it doesn't excuse the fact that the NCAA is actually responsible for the NCAA football franchise being shelved. If you step outside of the emotions that surround looking at the series, it is clear to see that O Bannon's case didn't even call for EA to cancel the games. EA was prepared to pay players for their likenesses in order to continue making the games. They were already making plenty of profit from the series, so they could offer to give student athletes a sliver of the pie. The NCAA wasn't interested in that though, so they pulled the plug on the entire franchise. The NCAA's questionable decisions about whether or not college athletes can be paid has been well documented in recent years and was even the subject of an entire episode of South Park.
Student athletes! Oh, that is brilliant, sir!
While the show took things a bit far in its portrayal of collegiate athletics, it's true that the NCAA is overly strict and cemented in its ways when it comes to student compensation. The NCAA's top lawyer in the case said that the plaintiffs in the O Bannon lawsuit are not seeking monetary damages. Instead, they are asking the judge in the case to prevent the NCAA from enforcing its rules, so future Division I football and men's basketball student athletes can receive compensation during their time in college for group licensing of their names, images, or likenesses. The plaintiffs claim that such compensation should include payment for their appearances in games that are broadcast live. As a result, in addition to challenging the NCAA rules, the plaintiffs are seeking to erode copyright law and First Amendment protections afforded to those games and broadcast. In short, the NCAA was worried that players would have to be paid for other things like appearing on live television if they were paid for their likenesses in video games. So video game players shouldn't be pointing the finger at O Bannon when it was actually the NCAA that wouldn't play ball, no pun intended. Ed O Bannon didn't hate college sports games. It was actually quite the opposite. In his book, he stated, "It's worth noting that we never asked EA to stop making college sports games. Just the opposite, actually. We love EA Sports college games and wish EA still made them. All we ask for is that EA pursue what it really wanted to do, negotiate with us to use our identities." So no, my lawsuit hasn't stopped EA from publishing college sports video games. EA is simply afraid of the NCAA, which could decide not to allow the licensing of team and university intellectual property. If the NCAA told EA it could pay college athletes without retribution by the NCAA, we would see these college games. It's really that simple. What O Bannon says is revelatory of what we are dealing with here. College football games likely won't be coming back anytime soon simply because the NCAA isn't willing to take a chance on paying a student athlete because that might mean they have to pay student athletes for everything that they do. Don't get me wrong, I'm upset too. I miss the game right now. I'm considering buying a PS3 right now just so I can go back and play NCAA Football 14. But that doesn't mean that I will stand here and say that Ed O Bannon is responsible for me not having that game anymore, because that's simply not true. If anything is going to happen to bring these games back, the NCAA is going to have to change a very long tradition of not compensating student athletes. They're not willing to do that. I don't think they will ever be willing to do that. So our only hope at this point are any games that are going to be developed that will be able to have college football, but they won't have official licensing for leagues, players, uniforms, conferences, championships, stadiums, or anything else. Basically, the only college football games that we're going to be seeing anytime soon are fake. Think about Blue Mountain State, the TV show. That's exactly the type of teams that you'll be seeing in these games. Now keep in mind that in NCAA Football 14, there's still devoted fans who go through every single year and create new customizable rosters for all of us to download. So with any game like Gridiron Champions or whatever that might be coming out in 2019 or 2020, don't get your hopes up. These are going to be fake teams. It's not going to be the same because we won't have real players, we won't have real stadiums, and we won't have that traditional feel that college football thrives on. The only thing we can hope for is the NCAA to get out of the way, let EA negotiate with college athletes and pay them if need be so we can bring back the games. Everyone would be happy in this scenario, except an institution that is so wrapped up in tradition that it really can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. And keep in mind, I am a huge college sports fan. I love the NCAA and the product that they put on. It's just in this particular scenario, the legality of everything that is happening is so unfortunate, and it means that many of us are missing out on so much fun that we used to have. Hopefully the NCAA can come past this eventually and we will see the return of college sports games, but until then, I guess I'm going to keep playing NCAA Football 14 every summer while I wait for football to start again. This video was a little bit off topic from my normal spiel, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's a very interesting case. If you're interested in the O Bannon trial, be sure to look it up. But for now, I want you to get down there in the comments and tell me how you feel about student athletes receiving compensation. Should they be able to be paid for the sports that they play, or is that completely asinine like the NCAA thinks it is? Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to share it with everyone you know, and as always, I'll see you guys on the next one.